What's happened at Bryan Insurance?
Well, we were talking the other day about years past, and I used to, we live, Graham is known as the lake country because we're surrounded by lakes, and it was probably in the 90s, maybe in the early 2000s. Every Friday, we would get 3 or 4 phone calls from one of our clients that had decided to go buy a jet ski or a boat and needed insurance on it.
Right then.
So it was just kind of a thing that used to happen pretty regularly, and it doesn't happen as often anymore.
They're ready to get out on the water.
And which led us to thinking about how many people bought a boat or a jet ski and they used it a lot, and then they put it in their garage and quit using it because their kids grew out of being interested in it or whatever, and then now they want to get back out and use it. We wanted to talk about some insurance things to think about.
That's exactly right. And a lot of people don't think about it because it's not an auto insurance, it's not a vehicle, it's a toy. But unlike four-wheelers and other ATVs, these watercraft have their own specific policies and their own specific issues. And a lot of it is liability and how people get injured, because you think you're on the water, you're like, oh, if I land in the water, it's not a big deal. Well, we've seen major issues.
Recently, we saw the death. And don't think that your homeowner's insurance or your lake policy insurance is going to cover the liability for the boat, because it's probably not. More than likely
extremely limited.
Very limited, if at all.
And so the first thing is liability. That is your coverages. If you happen to damage someone's property or injure somebody, that's more important than anything else, is your liability coverage, especially if you have a personal watercraft or a small ski boat. Something else to think about is personal property. When your life jackets, your fishing rods, I haven't seen what the cost of a new fishing rod is, but
about $35.
Okay.
Unless you get a really high power.
For a cheap one,
yeah, that's a cheap one, man. They go up to.
Well, I'm thinking if you're spending $150,000 on a boat,
but you can get some fishing rods up to a couple $100, $300, $400.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah.
So those are other coverages that you might want to discuss with your agent if you have some expensive rods that you don't want to see in the lake.
And there's a lot of different kind of watercraft policies, and we don't see the exclusions that we used to see as much. We used to see water ski exclusions on jet ski policies. You don't really see that as much, but you just, before I guess our advice is don't wait till Saturday and decide, I think we're going to use the boat for the first time in 5 years and we hadn't thought about insurance. Kind of plan ahead and talk to your insurance agent about what coverage you already have or what coverage you might want to get, so that you won't have a unhappy surprise when you're just trying to have some fun on the weekends out at the lake and find out you didn't have insurance.
So what happens if I'm pulling Rick on a tube and he falls off, I circle around and run over him?
Liability.
Okay.
I was thinking more like when I used to go down to the lake house.
What makes you think I'm going to fall off it, man?
Because you're not going to, we already discussed that
I'm not going to be in the water anyway.
We discussed that the last segment, Rick doesn't get in the water.
Oh, that's crazy.
But yeah, there's medical payments covered. There's also medical
that's
payments.
What I was
and so we've kind of seen it all. Brad's definitely seen it all.
I've seen everything from my jet skis hitting, retaining walls and ripping holes into the hull, to people sinking boats with Sea-Doos. We did that pilot program for the youth safety back in the early 90s. And the instructor was like, if a boat and a Sea-Doo collides, the Sea-Doo will always lose. And we're like, well, that's not true.
Not always. Always is a big word. But yeah, just plan ahead. Don't assume anything. If you haven't gotten your boat out of storage in 4 or 5 years, chances are you probably hadn't been paying that boat insurance policy. Right. And if you have been paying it, you might not have looked at it.
And also, you might get a little bit of issue if you let underage drivers drive those boats.
Well, I wrecked my first jet ski at 3, so I don't know about that.
But yeah, there's rules. I don't know what they are, but if you're going to...
You actually have to go through a boating course now.
That's the pilot program we did.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, you do have to go through that. So what is the average cost of like a policy? Not the highs or lows, just about
it's pretty cheap.
I figured it would be.
Most of my jet ski policies were about $100.
Yeah.
So they're not that expensive, but the liability portion's the cheaper aspect of it. It's when you get into the physical damage is where the cost starts really ramping up.
And that does happen. There's rocks in the lake, man.
And that's the problem.
Yeah.
It's because inexperience and also not familiar with the waterways that you're navigating. Look at Lake Graham, it's tree central over there.
Yeah, exactly.
And also make sure most, you think people are going to use their boats right around here, but make sure there's not any kind of geographical limitations.
Because
Most
there's in water
inland lake,
versus navigable waterways
Really?
or ocean, there's exclusions depending on which ones you want, and also difference in cost and premium.
Right. So just make sure that you've looked at your boat insurance, talked to your agent about what you're going to do, and then go have some fun.
Exactly.
All right, how do folks get a hold of you guys?
Call us before Friday, 940-549-2525. Or visit us at the second floor of Sierra Bank Building.
Yes, if you are in Hudson Oaks, we're at 2950 Fort Worth Highway, Suite 500, 817-770-0096.
And when you're surfing the webs, visit us at brianins.com. That's Brian with a Y.
All right, we've got coming up your Wednesday helpline. And right after these great sponsors, stick around. It's a wake up